Hello and welcome to my introductory video for a new game created by Cryptic Comic by the name of Occult Chronicles. Now this game's in beta at the moment. It's still a little bit buggy here and there, not majorly so. It's for the most part, I think it's all the fundamentals are down there, and it's essentially a roguelike game. I don't know, I think there's been some dispute about whether or not it's legitimately a roguelike, but for the most part it plays like a roguelike in that you develop a character who very quickly dies over and over again as you attempt to make your way through the storyline. Now your ultimate aim is to get to that final level encounter, and in order to do that, to have any chance of doing that, you're going to have to level your character up, and that will come through defeating your enemies, basically through completing anything, whether it's through bashing open doors or finding information in bookcases, avoiding traps, all sorts of ways. And by doing so, by doing these things well, you'll get your hit points and mind points back, but even more importantly, every so often you'll get these expertise tokens. I'm not sure what they're actually called, I'll just call them tokens, but these tokens are what you use to further increase your stat points, or to give you the ability to get stats in other areas, to specialise you not just, for example, as a soldier, but also as a tarot card reader or something, you know. So yes, you can have a multifaceted character basically. But there's also other things you can find, such as various pieces of equipment or skill cards, or the ability to increase your skill edges, but I'll go into all that a bit later. But as said, it's all fundamentally so that you can eventually reach the final level encounter, which will be at the bottom of the mansion, and what that thing will be some sort of monster or supernatural being of some kind or another. And I'm guessing, because I haven't actually seen them yet, but I'm guessing they'll be extremely difficult to beat. Now, to aid you in beating them, you will find clues throughout the mansion, and what clues basically are these one-off modifiers that are specifically for use in the final level encounter. So you might have a particular card that will reduce the target level of the final encounter by a certain amount of points, which basically means it will be that little bit easier to beat, and another card that gives you more opportunities to draw cards for that final level encounter, etc, etc. But yeah, it's all fundamentally to do with leveling yourself up so that you can eventually go downstairs and take on whatever nasty thing has caused this whole mess in the first place. Now with that, I'll go straight into creating a new character and show you what everything means as best as I can. Okay, so let's go inside. Now, to begin with, you have a whole bunch of missions here, as you see. I, however, have been doing this one mission over and over again, and failing at it over and over again, and I intend to keep doing this one and failing at it over and over again until I've somehow managed to defeat it, which I probably will never do, but I'm going to keep trying. So this is the key and the gate. Now, there have been rumours surfacing recently concerning the revival of a cult devoted to the tentacled ones. These creatures are said to be slumbering in an outer dimension and intent on returning to our world to assume their places as Earth's rightful rulers. Reports of missing young women from the neighbouring towns have kindled suspicions that the ancient Lovecraft estate might have new residents intent on some nefarious summoning or gate-opening ritual. The stars do seem to be right for a ritual. You have precious little time remaining before a celestial conjunction not to be seen for another 1,000 years could be used to the cultist's advantage. Our analysts believe that a human sacrifice will be required. So yeah, this is all to do with Cthulhu, undoubtedly, and let me explain what these things do now. Story speed. Basically, slower is easier and faster is bad, because story is another thing that can end the game that I forgot to mention. You have 12 of these story tokens, and they will come about after you've taken certain amounts of turns in the game. You'll sequentially get these story tokens, and if you reach all 12 story tokens, you lose, basically, because the summoning has been completed. So you only have a certain amount of time by which to get yourself strong and ready for the final encounter, and then to actually head down there and find the bastard, which I have not yet done. Yet I insist on playing it on veteran difficulty, which is the 3rd level difficulty. As you can see here, you've got recruit, which is the easiest, agent 2nd, veteran 3rd, hero 4th, and then legend 5th. And I am insisting on playing on veteran, and in game mode Reaper, which is the best way to play. I think this is the way it was intended to be played, which basically means it's basically what's it called? Can't remember the subject. I can't remember anything. What's it called? The roguelike mode. That's it. It's the roguelike mode. If you die, you're gone. That's it. Or you can play it on normal, whereby if you die, I think you just start at the beginning of the mansion. But I have no interest in that. So let's go to the next screen. and our name is Larry. You haven't actually got any choice in that, it's always Larry. We're going to go through these stat points now. Swords is basically to do with your martial capabilities. It's to do with how good you are at hitting things and smashing things. Cups is a statistic that governs your kind of general fitness and dexterity, whether it be with your entire body or even just with your fingers. Now, wands is to do with your intelligence and also to do with your psychic capabilities, and pentacles is specific to your sorceress capabilities. It's just to do with sorcery. Health, obviously hit points, and sanity are mental hit points, basically to do with creatures that scare you or deliberately attack your psyche with their psychic powers or sorceress powers. I'm not sure. I think sorceress powers can affect both your health and your mental state, but I'm not entirely sure yet. Now, as you can see here, we then also want to select a background. Now, you've got a whole bunch of different backgrounds here, and these top three are essentially the swords, hand-to-hand, well, not hand-to-hand combat, but weapons-based characters. These next three are your cups, aka fitness, sort of, kind of a. These next three are your intelligence-based characters, to do with wands, and these last three are your more sorceress characters, all to do with magic. I'm going to start it off as a soldier. Being a soldier is actually incredibly hard, but it's the first one I went with when I first started playing the game, so I'm going to go with this for now. As you can see, actually, I'll quickly explain it. We get a bone of, so I'll go through that in a moment. We get 2 random combat edges, which are little bonuses that you get when doing a specific thing. So because they're combat edges, they're to do with combat, and they can potentially help us to defeat our opponents that little bit easier, or to make a skill that little bit more useful. A random combat heroic feat. Now, heroic feats are specific to cups generally. They're all to do with saving yourself or performing some other sort of special attack based around the cups, which is the fitness based stuff. A random weapon, service pistol or shotgun. Service pistol bad, shotgun good. And random air talisman. Now, I'll go into talismans a bit later actually. Add 1 to swords just for being a soldier, which basically means that we will get an extra add 1 sword at the beginning of the game, which will increase our martial capabilities. Okay, now we select a starting bone. Now, because we're soldiers, we naturally start off with a bone of swords, so we don't need to bother taking that one, as it says on the left hand side here. I'll actually explain what a bone is. A bone is basically a skill dice. It's a dice that you use for rolling on skills that are within that category. So you don't always need to use it, but certain skills require that you make a dice roll, and in order to use those skills in the first place, you have to have a corresponding bone for that specific skill type. So for example, an intelligence based skill in your wands category would require the bone of wands. We are going to take the bone of cups, just in case. We will start off with a heroic ability. We won't actually need to use a bone of cups to use it, because all of them I think can allow you to either use a bone of cups or a bone of swords that we already come with, but just in case in the future we find any better cups abilities, it might be handy to have one. And then we set a starting edge. Now, these are one of those edges I was talking about earlier, which will basically just make things a tiny bit easier for a very specific thing. So shootist and quick draw, for example, will both help you when making shooting based attacks to have a little bit extra chance of beating your opponent, basically. What we're going to take for now is we're going to take Mental Fortress, which will make horror challenges a little bit easier, which I will go into a little bit later as well. So, you can also, actually I haven't even added any stats, but you can also change between these 4 dudes or these 2 women, whatever picture you want. It doesn't really matter because they'll all be dead within 5 minutes, so let's actually put some stats in for now. I'm going to go with 2 in everything, because being bounced is quite important. I find that this works best generally, since you're going to get all sorts of challenges that will involve the use of all your stats. So in order to not get scared to death or outright killed, it's best, I find personally, bounce it up a bit. So that's what we're going to go with. Now we'll start the game. Okay, so here we are in the game, and this is our interface, as you can see. I'll quickly run through everything. In the bottom left, as you can see, we've got our map. which is this thingy-majig. And on the left we've got our stats, we've got our talisman over here, which is the Cyclone. I'll talk more about that later. These things in the middle that kind of look like clocks, those are our story tokens. The first one's blanked out, I think that's a bug. And on the right here we've also got our stats shown. As you can see, it says we've got 1 out of 3 swords, for example. Now that is because we are currently carrying an item in here, which, as you can see by this 1 in the bottom right of the item, is its encumbrance. So we can carry up to anything that weighs up to 3, basically. So we might have a pistol that weighs 1, and then we might have, I don't know, a machine gun that weighs 2, for example. And yes, in our swords category, because we are soldiers, we started off with this revolver, which isn't as good as a shotgun, but it's still pretty cool. It's quite handy to have at the very least. And it does actually require ammo. There's 2 special resources in the game. Ammo specifically for weapons, which you can never actually lose, so it's quite handy, and courage for fueling your heroic feats. But again, all that doesn't really matter right now. We can go into that a bit more later. Essentially what the pistol does is it allows us to bump cards down lower, which is basically something you can do to weaken your enemy's cards so that you are that bit more likely to score points. We'll go into all that a bit more later too. So yeah, we've got our gun in our martial skill point category card thingamajig. In our cups we have critical hit, which is probably the best thing you can start out with as a soldier. In our wands we have no skills, and in our pentacles we have no skills. This bottom eyeball crystal ball thingy is specifically for our special cards that we acquire, but they're very rare, so we probably won't be seeing any of those. But yeah, I'll go into some more detail about how all these skills work once we actually get into combat. Now let's take a quick look into our personal file. Now, first category here is our background. As you can see, we chose soldier. We can basically, once we acquire tokens, we can use those tokens to increase our stats. Now, the first 2 stats we have available, as you can see, will be 3 points to get a soldier buff, a swords buff, and then another 4 tokens to get another swords buff. But after we've put 3 tokens into this swords buff, I know through experience that we'll get one that allows us to also buff up our cups. So yeah, we can alternatively get a ranged edge. We'll look at those in a moment under edges. And for 5 points we can get another skill card, which is basically this thing here is a skill card. And so in turn we can then become something else. So we could become a psyker of some sort perhaps, and then we could potentially, with that skill card, increase other stats like wands or pentacles, and acquire skills also in those other areas. So we might acquire a psychic skill or a spell for a sorceress, and so on. Now here we have our edges. Now edges are our little combat modifiers that help us when using skills, not always actually, sometimes just at the start of combat or something like that. So we have Mental Fortress, which is the thing we started off with, which makes our horror challenges a little bit easier. We have Charmed Trigger Finger, which also allows us to lower the strength of some of our enemies' cards, and Never Misses, which also allows us to lower the strength of our enemies' cards by buffing our own ones. And basically these two gun skills, I find that these combat skills tend to not be particularly great, especially in comparison to, say, psychic and sorcerer skills, but they can help that a little bit to score a few more points. And points in this game mean prizes. Now, bones, Bone of Cups, Bone of Swords, those are our 2 dice that will allow us to use skills in those specific areas. Clues, obviously we haven't explored the mansion yet, so we've got none, and that'll be for making the final encounter that little bit easier. And quests are things we can get from various people and creatures that will allow us to score more tokens, and with the tokens we can obviously strengthen ourselves. Also through completing quests, I mean, you'll also get sometimes random edges, or very specific edges that you acquire specifically through completing that very specific mission, and those edges tend to be a hell of a lot better than these ones. Obviously you're going to learn that through experience. At the moment I know a few of them, but yeah, there's an awful lot I'm sure I don't know, so yes. Alright then, so let's begin by heading around the mansion. As you can see, it's all turn-based. Opening this door and proceeding through and see what we can find. Okay, now here for example is a challenge. Now, everything that you generally do in this game is a challenge of some description. You've got combat challenges, you've got psych challenges, you've got persuasion challenges, deception, lore challenges, not to do with the actual lore, to do with knowing history and understanding your subjects that you're dealing with, and so on and so on. And yeah, this, for example, here is it's an evade trap challenge. And you find these as you're just wandering around the mansion. Various traps will try and kill you. Now, this is a pair of scything blades. Suddenly you look up and see two scything blades racing down the hallway at you. They are razor sharp and suspect that they might be able to cut you in half. Now, we have two ways by which we can attempt to save ourselves from these blades. Now, one of them is instinctively twist over the blades. As you can see there, encounter types evade trap. And the other one is duck under the blades. Now, I'll explain what all these things mean. Now, first of all, it shows the difficulty. It has a cup next to it, which means it's a cup-based challenge. Basically, it's a challenge to do with your fitness and, yeah, your dexterous skills. Now, thanks to our skill of 2 in cups, we managed to deduct 2 from the modifier of it, which means we've got a target of 8. The target is the minimum amount of points we've got to do to beat this challenge. With traps, they're always one-off, so you never get to repeat a trap challenge. You need to beat it immediately or it will hurt you. That's basically it. Tricks are to do with the opposing cards you'll be getting. Now, despite the fact I say opposing, you do actually want as many trick cards as you can. You want as many tricks and as many draw cards as you can, and you want the target to be as low as possible. But yes, tricks are the cards that you will be trying to take in order to score points. And draw are the amount of cards you'll start off with in order to try and take tricks to score points. Now, it says here we have 8 target, 4 tricks, 5 draw. And here we have 8 target, 4 tricks, but 4 draw. The more draw we have, the better. So we want to go for this one, which is to instinctively twist over the blades, acting on pure instinct to attempt to twist and rotate over the waist-high blades. So we're going to click this one and go into the card game. Okay, now here we are on the challenge card game board screen, as it's known. And yeah, every challenge that you do in the game the results for it are decided by completing this card game. And your aim here is to score equal to or over your target. Now, the more you score, the better your rewards will be. And conversely, the less you score, the worse the punishments will be. Now, in order for us to score points, we need to place a card of equal or higher value upon their cards. Now, you have aces through to 10s, which are aces in this are only basically they mean 1. In other games, aces are always brilliant, but in this they're the worst card possible. So aces through to 10s are all your 1-point cards. That's all they're worth. Then you have a page, which is worth 2 points, a knight, which is worth 3 points, a queen, which is worth 4, and a king, which is the best card, which is worth 5. Now, I'll uncover a card and explain what the hell's going on. So here, 2, that's just a typical crappy 1-point card. In order to take it, we've got to put a card of equal or higher value onto it in order to take it. So, for example, what we can do now is take this purple page and stick it on this purple card, and we will score 3 points. Now, the reason why we score 3 points is because the page is worth 2 points, the lowest of the face cards, and the 2, like aces through to 10s, all of those cards are all worth 1 point. So because we successfully scored there, we take both cards points. So altogether we have 3. Now we open this and it's a king of wands. So this card is extremely strong. We can't beat it with our 3. But one of the rules of this game is if you have a card of that suit to be played, you have to place that card upon it. If we had 2 green cards, for example, we could place either one on it. But since we've only got this one, in order to uncover another card, we actually have to put this card upon this one. So yeah, as you uncover cards, you have to deal with them there and then. You can't just open up all the cards and deal with them how you like. Now, here we have a 4. We can put our page on it or our 6. We want to put our page on it here because it'll be worth more points. So we're going to do that and get another 3 points. And finally, we have a Knight of Pentacles. We have no further cards. As you can tell, actually, I don't think I mentioned it, but as you should be able to tell by now, you also need to have cards of the same suit in order to take cards. So no putting cards of other suits onto others. We have no purple cards, and thus we cannot attempt to even take this Knight of Pentacles here. As you can see, we've rolled it all together out. As you can see, altogether we've acquired 6 points, but that's not enough to beat 8. So we lose this challenge. I have got a gun, and I have also got this critical hit skill, but neither of these can be used because they do not apply to this evade trap situation. These are both specifically only useful in actual combat challenges, so we couldn't use them even if we wanted to. And as you can see, we've acquired 6 points, which is not enough to beat our target, and thus we lose this challenge. But by scoring 6 points, as opposed to not scoring anything, we've dramatically increased the chance that we won't get hurt. Yeah. So we click on the fail challenge thing here. Failure, you misjudge your acrobatic leap and get clipped. You aren't sure how bad it is. So now we will go to the results screen. End. So here we are on the results screen. Now we have to choose 2 bad results. Now most of these, thanks to us not losing that badly, should be nothing of interest. But there is a chance we could lose something. We could lose some hit points. We could possibly even lose a limb. It depends. But yeah, the more you beat your challenge by, not only the more good results or bad results that will be underneath these cards, but the stronger they'll often be. Now, I never actually explained talismans, but since there's one on this card, I might as well go through what it is. Now, we have these talismans here, which will basically offer us a chance to completely negate certain negative result cards that we score. Now, this has a 60% chance of appearing, as you can see, specifically for swords-based challenges, or any challenge that involves the use of a certain skill. Now, as you can see, it says air swords. This, our attempt to evade this trap involved the use of swords in our draw, so just because it involved the use of them, there's a 60% chance that this will actually appear. And on top of that, if we actually do use it, the release chance, 6%, indicates that there's a 6% chance that it will completely disappear if we do use it. So yeah, there's always that chance that despite it being useful right now, it could potentially just disappear on us and we'll never get to use it again. So sometimes in certain creatures you might not want to use it even if there's the ability to do so, because you'll know for a fact, for example, that they can't actually do that much damage to you. Whereas certain other things can absolutely annihilate you in one go, so you might want to save it specifically for taking on the more dangerous things. So what we are going to do is click on this, and as you can see here, we clicked on a nasty card, which has caused us to lose 2 life, and we'll click on this one, and we unfortunately happen to step into another nasty card, so altogether we will lose 3 hit points. And we have to accept that, and that's just the way it is. So now we're going to open this door, and here you can see a question mark, which basically indicates that there is something of interest, which catches our attention, but we will need to get closer to identify what it is. So let's do that. Now, as you can see here, we have come across a Teslarati scientist. You're confronted by the creature from some type of horrible nightmare. It towers over 7 feet tall and seems covered in a sickly translucent slime. You can only describe it as a combination of a snail, cucumber and octopus. You fight to control your revulsion. The thing is not of our world. It must be from another dimension entirely. You feel overcome with dread and a sickening revulsion. So when you come across weird creatures from other dimensions or paranormal things or anything like that, you have to complete a horror test. That's the first thing you'll have to do. So here we have to resist the horror, encounter types horror. Your eyes widen in disbelief as the strange creature turns to look at you. And we are going to have to try and score 6 target points with 4 cards and 4 tricks. If we fail to do so, we'll most likely take some mind damage. If we succeed, we just won't take that damage. So yeah. Now here we are in this card game again. We have nothing to help us in this horror test, so we're just going to have to take it as it comes. Now we get to score 2 points there. We have no purple card, so we can't do anything about that one. We have to put our 6 on this 10 and score no points. And again, we have nothing that can take this 8 because both our cards are lower. So altogether, we will only get 2 points, meaning our opponent, I think, will have to choose 4 bad cards here. So we will fail this. Your mind is weak, you feel like you are going to vomit, and you struggle to control yourself from going to your knees as you begin to dry heave. Okay. Oh no, we've only got to choose 3, but they might be terrible things, who knows. Now we get no results one there, get a -1 to our mind points there, and no result there. So we will go down to 11 sanity, so all in all, things are alright. Could have been a lot worse. After the initial shock of seeing this strange creature passes, you are pretty sure that you can identify it. You remember your briefings on the Tunguska event of 1908. A portal had been opened by this interdimensional race of aliens known as the Teslarati. An invasion had been failed by a precursor to the ODD when the portal generator was overloaded. It has been a narrowly won victory. An interdimensional war had followed. This creature must be a scout sent over to do reconnaissance. Perhaps the energy of this house served as a beacon to pull here. It seems to have been working on some kind of experiment. Now, as you can see here, we get 4 different options. Now, we can actually attack the creature in a variety of different ways. For example, here we can attack it with our weapons, combat monster type encounter. Here we can attempt to use our sorcery. Here we can attempt to evade it altogether and not fight it. And here is a special type of encounter which will only occur if you have a gun, which is stopping power. And stopping power will actually use some of the ammo from your gun to try and make the challenge easier. Generally it's a lot better with the shotgun, because the shotgun has a lot of good modifiers on all types of creatures. The revolver, not so much. So, but as you can see here, the difference between, say, stopping power and attack, here it will be 4 target, 5 tricks, 4 draw, and here it's 6 target, 4 tricks, and 5 draw. So actually we get 5 tricks, 4 draw, and 4 tricks, 5 draw, not much difference between those two, but the target's 6 for normal attack, and 4 for stopping power. I don't think it's worth wasting our ammo on trying to shoot this thing down with stopping power, so I'm just going to try and kill it normally. As you can see here, we could try and do sorcery, but target's higher, less tricks. Fleeing is easier, but we can kill this thing. It depends though on whether or not we actually want to. Now, generally speaking, again, the better you kill something, the more rewards you'll get from it. So early on, you might not want to kill fairly easy things, even though you can do, just because you might want to come back to them when you're really overpowered, when you'll really absolutely annihilate them, because that way you've actually got a good chance of getting good rewards. But I'm just going to fight this for the sake of us seeing some more battles so we know what the hell's going on. So I'm going to attack this thing now. And I'll attempt to use a skill here so that you can actually see how those work. Now I'm going to cover that. We have no red cards. We have to give that up for that. And we have to give that up for that. Okay, we don't actually need to use a skill here. So I'm just going to put this down and lose to it, and we'll fight it again. Defeat. We have to take 3 penalty cards, and luckily nothing bad happened at all. So we're going to attempt to attack it again. Now, last time I got 4 tricks, and the draw was 5. Now, this is something called determination. Now, every time you fail something, you will go up 1 trick card and 1 draw card until you reach the ceiling, which is 5. So even though we had 5 draw cards last time, because we're already at that ceiling, we will still only receive 5 this time. But we only drew 4 tricks last time. Thanks to having that determination attribute about us, we can go up to 5 trick cards. And you can do that with everything. No matter how bad it starts off, you'll always be able to get up to 5 tricks and 5 draw eventually, if you subsequently fail it and keep trying again. But you may be dead before you get to that point, who knows. And to actually get 6 tricks and 6 draw, your stats actually have to get you there. So there might be quite a big discrepancy in between actually getting from 5 to 6. But yes. Anyway, let's move on and let me actually fight this thing again. Okay, we've got some half decent cards this time. Okay, so now this 7. We'll try and take this 8. As you can see, we can't do because it's obviously a lower card. But what we can do is use our Occult. Now, we have a skill with this, which is double tap, which is to bump the card value down on a random revealed non-face trick card. So the trick cards are all these top cards. Now, it's not a face card because it's an 8. An ace counts as a non-face card in this. Anything from ace to 10, non-face. So it will work on this. And it would be a random revealed card, but we've only revealed the 1, so it will definitely work on this specific card. So we'll use this skill, double tap, which will use up how much ammo? It will use between 2 and 3 ammo. So we will, go down to what? 2 or 3 ammo. Yeah, okay. So let's double tap. Boom. There you go, and it drops to 4. So now we've scored 2 points because of that double tap ability. We're going to use our page of wands on this. We have nothing blue. We have to sacrifice our purple thing there. Okay, now as you can see, we are still on 5 target points here, so we're going to lose again. But I'm going to show you how this skill works here now. Your heroic feats, everything in the cups area, require the use of courage, and for us to use this it requires 1 to 2 courage and at least 1 ranged item, and luckily we've got that in the form of our pistol. So what does this do? It rolls the skill dice, and then we will select a non-face enemy card basically and bump its card value down by X. We then add X to our trick points taken, which is, and X is basically whatever we roll on the dice, assuming that we actually successfully roll. Now, we can actually roll this skill on either our bone sword dice or our cup dice, and we actually have 3 attribute points in swords, which means it'll be that little bit easier. So basically a 1, 2 or 3 will be successful, a 4, 5 or 6 will be unsuccessful. If we are successful, we can add those points to our tricks taken score, which will mean we'll actually win. I know it's all very complicated at the moment, but it's actually a lot simpler than it seems. I'm just absolutely dreadful at explaining things. So what we're going to do is put our bone of swords in there, because that's what we want to use, because that's our highest stat. We're going to roll that. We're going to roll a 1, which is still good. It's better than rolling a 4, 5 or 6, which would have had us fail. So we're going to accept that. We're going to bump the card value down on a random card. We're going to use this 5 because that card actually hasn't had anything placed on it, and we're actually going to get to draw a card because that was the final little attribute of this critical hit skill. And if we actually do score a green card, we'll be able to get even more points. On top of that, we're actually going to go up by 1 point because we get to add whatever we rolled on that dice, so long as it's 1, 2 or 3, to our target taking thingy-majig. So boom, and we were lucky enough to score a knight, which is worth 2 points. So we're going to get to take this 4 and go up to 9 points. Or 10 points for some other reason. The knight is worth 3? Yeah, that's it. The knight's worth 3 and we took the 4, so we scored another 4 points. That brings us from 6 up to 10. So we end up going from losing that to winning it thanks to this critical hit skill. So win! There we go. The creature is mortally wounded and slumps down into a gelatinous heap. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Aha! And we actually got ourselves an expertise token, right. So we'll accept that. And I'll show you what the expertise tokens are in a second. But that particular encounter leads right into this encounter, which is the brain canister. Having dispatched this foul interdimensional monstrosity, you look around and immediately recognise the thing's handiwork. It's been working on creating assistants called brainbots. On the table is a canister containing a human brain. You can't be sure if the thing is even alive anymore. The body has obviously been destroyed. It's kept alive by a network of power cables. Why this hasn't, or something, why this one was singled out and not put directly into a crab bot is a mystery. Was it being tortured or interrogated? So we can leave this alone and just completely forget about it, but alternatively we can smash it with bullets, or we can just smash it normally. Target 8 with 4 tricks and 3 draw, we're very likely to fail that. We could try and shoot it, which is a little bit easier. You know what, I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm just going to leave it alone entirely. I could come back to it later when I'm a bit stronger and actually get something for really smashing it into. In the meantime, I'm going to check my personal file out. And there we can see we have 1 expertise token. And by sticking that in a specific thing, we'll get to begin to level that particular thing up. We can get a really cheap increase in our sword, so I'm going to stick it in there for now. Really, there's no point in spending it until you're ready to actually buy something, so that in case you want to suddenly change your mind later, you can do, but I'm an idiot and just decided to do that. So there you go. But those are our leveling up tokens, basically, and those are very important. The better we beat things, the more points we beat things by, the more likely we are to actually get those. So, in an ideal world, we will really focus on doing one thing really well, and try to do that as much as possible early on to get as many expertise tokens as we can. Now we're going to leave this brain canister alone, step past it, and head on down into the mansion. Another thing worth mentioning, actually, is you'll generally find particular creatures and particular events occur in particular rooms. Now, in this room that we were just in, that's got this human corpse on the table, that Teslarati scientist is very often in this room. But also you'll often get these random encounters in this room called brain bots, as well as sometimes having certain things like a tied down zombie on one of the beds if there's a particular encounter in here. But that was the only encounter in there, so that's nothing worth worrying about. Now we're going to explore this room, which just has a bunch of sofas in it, and see what mystery lies underneath this question mark here. A figure in a mirror. You come across an antique mirror. The glass is dirty and streaked, covered in dust, but you catch a glimmer of reflected light of it. As you look into the mirror to see your reflection, you start to feel uneasy. You simply can't see yourself. It's like you are looking through a portal. Suddenly the blurred outline of a woman appears. Something supernatural is afoot here. So we're going to, first of all, because it's a supernatural thing, again, we're going to have to resist the horror of encountering this thing. You are startled by the woman's sudden appearance. You realise that you are looking into another dimension, and the implications race through your mind, stirring up distressing fears and emotions. So let's attempt to not be scared shitless by what we're encountering in this mirror. It does look, however, like we will be scared shitless because we have not managed to match up anything, and so our failure is quite a dramatic one. Fail. Your mind is weak. This strange confrontation with the mysteries of the universe chips away at your sanity. Okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4. And it turned out we got lucky because nothing bad happened to us at all. And we will accept those results. And now we have a... we can attempt to defeat her in some way. Now, the woman in the mirror does not seem overly threatening, but she is terrifying nonetheless. She floats on the other side of what surely must be a portal. She can't possibly be human. The only word that describes her is ethereal. You begin to hear a low moan emanating from the mirror. The sound is truly chilling, and you feel as if it's trying to paralyze your mind. So, what can we do? We can smash the mirror, which is fairly easy. Target 7, draw... Well, it's not actually that easy, but target 7, draw 5. Target 7, draw 4. Target 6, so it's actually easier for us. Well, the target's overall lower for us to engage her in a psychic duel, despite us not really being particularly good at psychics. We can run from her, or we can attempt to smash her with bullets. Again, though, the stopping power thing tends to not be particularly good when done with a revolver. 6.54 compared with 7.45. I think draw is a little bit more important than trick, so... I think you know, we can actually make this a 6.55 if we lose the first time. So let's actually attempt to engage her in a psychic duel. So you sense an intelligence on the other side of the mirror. You decide to channel your psychic kinetic energy to drive it away and seal the breach. So let's do this. We can match our page of cards up here, which will score us 3 points. We have to give in this cup here. We get another cup card and another cup card. So we end up failing, but not majorly. You sense that it's fighting you reluctantly and only out of extreme necessity, but it punches back at you hard. Psychically though, so it should only make us lose mind points if we fail, but we didn't, so boom. I mean, we did fail, we just didn't fail in any sort of dramatic way, so we didn't get any nasty modifiers from it. Now, as you can see, determination has raised our tricks and our draw up to 5. That's the best it will get. But the target is lower, so all in all it's still way better than actually fighting her by just attempting to smash her mirror. So let's keep psychically dueling her. As you can see, these are all very high cup cards. We don't even have any cup cards, but yeah, we can't defeat any of these. And again, she's just got cup cards, which is extremely unlikely, but that's what's happened. So we have lost again. Now we're going to have to choose 4 nasty cards, and we end up losing 4 sanity points, meaning we will be on 7 sanity points. So we are getting trashed here at the moment, which is not good. We did get really shit cards though, so let's go again. And again we get shit cards, but we might at least be able to take the edge off of her sting, unless all of her cards are better than ours, which they are. So we're going to fail that one again. Boom, 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 boom. Shit. Okay, we have 1 sanity point left, and that is how things can go in this game very quickly. We could run, but we haven't got much worth living for, because if she doesn't scare us to death, something else probably will. We're really, we are really already dead here. We're basically fucked. But sod it. Let's at least attempt to beat her. We can use our queens to take the page, meaning we will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, and we've won it. So that's good. Any further victory that we can get will help us to potentially at least score something good on the board. So we managed to drive the woman away from the gate and seal the breach. The mirror is now useless to whatever was using it. So this is all completely done. Unfortunately, we managed to get nothing of interest, so we don't actually score anything. We've only got 1 sanity point left, so if anything remotely scares us at all, it's going to kill us. Now, this is a cultist patrol. These are all people, so we won't actually have to make a horror test here. So, if we are going to get hurt, it's going to be to our body via their bullets. So, we've stumbled across an armed patrol of cultists. We hear shouting and then see the flash of weapons being fired, and they don't intend to ask us any questions. We're gonna use our stopping power this time and get that slightly better target modifier. The power behind these slugs will bring most living things to their knees, and even the undead will feel a hefty kick. So let's go for this. Okay, we are going to lose bad again. Really, really bad. Yep, there we go. These guys are packing some heat. You'd better be careful. Boom, boom. Okay, so we used our talisman card that time, so that will prevent that 1 damage. However, we might actually lose our talisman. But we didn't, so let's fight them again. Okay, we have some good cards this time, but unfortunately we have to sacrifice our only good green cards to that green card. We get to make some points there. And we could actually try and win by critical hit. But you know what, I'm going to just accept the loss. The chance, because we've lost so close to our target score, the chance that there will be something bad hurting us is unlikely. But unfortunately we did. However, if we can get some good cards, we can really trash these guys and potentially score us some health. I'm actually going to accept the loss. Well, we haven't actually got a choice. We have to accept the loss again. So we're going to use that one. No result. Good. Let's fight them again. Got 2 really good cards. Will we get to use them is the thing. And we got to use one of them. It will only get us up by 1. Sod it. Let's go for it. We can actually attempt to now... Actually, let's not do that. Let's just win. There we go. And nothing of interest. Okay, let's carry on exploring things. We are going to die. Now, here we go. We got ourselves a clue. An add to draw bonus for this one. So this would specifically and only be used in the final encounter. And in that final encounter, we'll be able to draw an additional 2 cards. We will not be making it there, though, because we have 4 hit points and 1 mind point. We are going to die. Let's see what we die to. Let's open this door up, and this is just some sort of storage room. Nothing of any interest in there. Oh, random encounter again, more cultists. And let's match up some cards quickly. And, oh, we do manage to beat them, because we managed to get a king, which will score us 5 points for himself and 1 point for the 7. So, boom. We've won the battle. Their bodies lie strewn across the floor. Maybe we can find something useful on them. Most likely we won't, because we only beat them by a little bit. So, we will carry on. Now, opening doors doesn't actually cost us any turns, so we can do all this in the blink of a theoretical eye. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. And, yeah, let's just check out the rooms. Let's see what's over here. Pile of papers. You can, by failing this dramatically, by failing the challenge, you can actually lose mind points. So this can be as dangerous as any other creature. So we will not search through the papers for fear of going insane. Let's go into this room. However, we've had a random encounter, which is a class 1 haunting, and for this we will have to take a horror test. If we fail it and we get a minus anything to our mind, we will undoubtedly fall into insanity. So suddenly we see a dim glow of a formless ghost just ahead of us. It seems to just hang in the air. It may be the most basic of spectral creatures, an unformed psychokinetic disturbance, but it's a spirit all the same, and it would frighten any flesh and blood human. So let's attempt to not fail this so dramatic. There we go, we managed to get 2 points. We have to fail by 2 points. We have no choice. However, first thing we get is a -1 to our sanity, so we will undoubtedly die. You have gone insane. Game over. The oldest and strongest emotion of fear is mankind. No, that's read wrong. Final score 42, which is rubbish. We've died immediately, basically. It was that mirror that scared the absolute shit out of us. And as soldiers, you will generally be going insane very quickly. I find that, generally speaking, the wands stat is the most important one, or at least from what I've seen so far. It'll be the thing that both allows you to stay alive the longest, thanks to all the constant fear attacks, as well as being able to actually just talk to or fight the various denizens of the mansion, which are mostly supernatural in nature. And so, yes, if you don't want to go insane, it's best to generally not be a soldier. Alright, now, let's try another mission. By another mission, I mean the same mission over again, with us dying with another character, I guess. Yes! Right, what's background? This time, I think we will be... So far, I've been a thief, a soldier, and a mentalist, predominantly. Those are the guys I've been the most. And the thief and the mentalist are both very good. Mentalist, well, all the guys, mentalist, accountant, and professor, probably the best players, best characters to use, because they have high wands, and wands are, in my opinion, most important stat because they affect so much, and it will dramatically help you survive those constant horror challenges which you'll have to do in order to interact with anything on the map. I mean, not literally everything requires a horror test, but I'd say at least probably over 80% of things do. So being a soldier, you're going to die very often to getting scared to death if you're not getting killed by traps and monsters in the first place. But most of the time you're just going to get scared to death within the first 10 minutes, I'd say. I'm going to be a sorcerer. I'm going to be an apprentice, I think. Your mentor died before your very eyes, devoured by a Graxian Shambler at the festival of the autumnal equinox. The Vezerati thought they would offer you two in sacrifice, but that was their first and last mistake. You work for the ODD now, and hunting down apocalyptic cults is your speciality. And as you can see with this one, we will start with 5 starting skill tokens, which allows us to kind of, well, potentially level up our stats straight away, so we can just be that bit stronger, which is a fantastic thing to have. Or to potentially get another skill card immediately. But yeah, there's no real point in that. Initially, you may as well just buff up your stats. If you want another skill card, you may as well just start off as a different character, so that you can basically bump up whatever your predominant stat is immediately, get a bit of strength at something or another, whether it's fighting, running away, or breaking open doors or anything. And then proceed to bounce yourself out in other areas once you've kind of established your foothold in whatever given area you're trying to specialise in. We already have a bone of pentacles. I'm going to take a bone of swords, you know? You don't know, do you? Because you don't have a clue what I'm talking about. But yes, I'm going to take that for now. Adaptive intellect, that will help us survive horror challenges. I'm going to take preternatural senses. This one will help us survive traps. And traps can be really nasty. I mean, you only have to avoid them once, but they've often got quite high targets, and when they hurt you, they often hurt you bad. And quite often, you, on top of getting injured, having your hit points depleted, you'll also get these perma injuries like blind in one eye or broken ribs, which will decrease your stats, which is obviously terrible. So those are I'm slightly more scared of than the actual monsters. So I'm going to take that, and then I'll probably just bounce it out. Yeah, I'll just keep it bounced like that. And I'll take slightly more hit points than mind points, because we should be getting fairly strong at the whole dealing with psychers and sorcerers fairly fast anyway. So we'll start like that. And here we are in the game. Now, first of all, let's check out what sorcery spell we actually do have. And we have Lemurian Fire. Right, okay. And in order to use this, we need 4 pentacles. So, fuck that. We can't even use it. So, we'll look at that later. For now, however, we can actually increase our pentacles to the point that we can use it. So, we might as well read it. Okay, good. Right, yeah. Energy Fuse 1, 4 pentacles. Roll 1 bone and select X non-face revealed trick cards and remove them from the board. Where X is the number of pentacles rolled, then replace them with random cards from the deck. Okay, so we can basically remove high cards that we can't beat and hopefully replace them with shit ones that we can, which will enable us to score more points. When can we use that spell? We can use that spell in combat sorcery battle, right? Rightio. Okay, now this room always contains the same dude in it. And that dude be Mr. Maddo Baggins, who is not here and completely goes against everything I said, because every other time I've ever played this game he's always been in here, but right now he isn't. Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna go... Yeah, I'm gonna go across. Okay, we've encountered some cultist guardians, more powerful than normal cultists, because these are a group of cultists that emerge from the shadows that seem to be exceptionally stealthy, who may be scouts, guardians, or some organised group that has taken up residence here. This group looks particularly dangerous. They seem well trained, well armed, and by the look of them, well organised. You can't tell how many of them there are, but they seem to move in a tight formation to hide their numbers. Now, as you can see here, target 9, it's bloody high. I'm not going to bother with that. Target 4, much more reasonable, so we're going to attempt to run away from them. You don't like the odds in this fight. No, I don't. I guess we could attempt to set them on fire, couldn't we? But nah. Target 9 is just a bit too high. Unfortunately, we failed to score enough points to actually flee. So we turn to run. Before we can get all 3 yards away, they swarm us. So boom, no results. That's good. However, now it'll be a little bit easier for us to try and run away from them, so hopefully we can get something good. And we've got 2 face cards, which is always a good thing, especially a king, and even better. There we go. So we have successfully run away. Let's see. And we've got nothing of interest. When you run away, yeah, you'll generally never ever get anything good from it. Just getting away from the enemy is your reward, basically. And unfortunately, we've come to a dead end. But since we're here, we might as well explore the room anyway. A creepy mortician. We see a human figure lurking in the darkness, and we don't like the look of it at all. It steps forward out of the gloom, and we're confronted with a strange and unusually tall man who towers over 6.5 feet. He seems dressed like a mortician of some sort. He opens his hand to reveal a spiked, shiny sphere that miraculously hovers out of his palm. He smiles and in a creepy voice says, "I've been waiting for you, boy. Resist the horror." Let's resist the horror. Okay, so we'll get 5 points for that. If we get a red card, we are fine. Oh, we're fine anyway. So, boom, there we go. Our mind is strong, we've seen worse than this. After all, we were part of the first ODT team to breach a dimensional barrier. This guy and his gizmo don't scare us in the least. Right, okay dokie. Now let's try and... should we try and fight him? No, because again, he's also too hard. You can get some good rewards from this guy if you really pound the shit out of him. But we are in no position to do such a thing, so we are going to run from him as well. The good thing about this guy, though, and a lot of the question mark things to discover on the board, is they don't actually chase you. So once you got away from them, so long as you can avoid going into them again, you don't have to worry about them. So we turn and run as fast as we can. We hear the flying sphere buzzing around us, trying to wound us. But then suddenly the sound vanishes and we are away. Nothing of interest. Okay, so let's go around here. Oh, we've just had a bunch of darts spray out the wall. We've got to try and avoid them. We step on a pressure plate and we hear the pneumatic sounds of darts being shot through blow tubes. We catch a glimpse of the deadly swarm of needle tips, killers heading our way. And this is the easier one. Observe the darts and respond. We notice that we see a gap in the wall and the darts heading our way, so we decide to crouch into it. And our cards are bollocks, so we might get them right in the face. Yep, we didn't score 1 point. This is the worst result possible. We completely misjudge that situation and get the full force of the wall of flying darts. That one. Okay, only 2 health lost. That's not too bad. Now there is a chance we'll be poisoned, and we won't, so that's good, because that usually kills me outright. And we've walked right into an axe-wielding madman. We stop as soon as we catch sight of the lone figure near the wall. We might have thought that it was a statue standing there, as his only movement in the gloom was the slow laboured rise and fall of his chest as he drew breath. Without warning, he bursts out into a maniacal cackle that sends a shiver down our spine. We have no doubt that we're hearing the laughter of the insane. So now we've got to resist the horror of him as well. We've got good cards though, so it should be fine. And luckily we were. Good. Boom. Our mind is strong. We've seen worse than this. A gaunt, thoroughly insane man wielding a bloody axe lunges towards us. You are certain that there is no way to reason with him, so you have to save questions for later. Now, can't fight him because, like everybody else, he's also 9/4/4. So again, we're going to try and run, but our target is 3 this time. So we should be fine, especially with these cards, and we are. Boom. And yeah, these cultists are cleverly going to block off the doorway, and we are going to go right for them and try and run past them. And we're successful in running. Whether or not we'll actually run past them is a different matter entirely. I'm not sure if I explained that, but just in case I didn't, every time you try to flee versus somebody, you have to succeed, obviously, and if you do, there's I think it's a 20% chance that you'll land on the same square as them, which will then in turn allow you to run past them and run away. However, there's a higher chance that you won't, and that you'll be stuck on the square you started off in, meaning if you want to run past them, if you need to, desperately get past them, then you'll have to do the flee challenge again. And I think every time you succeed at it, you get a 20% further chance in successfully being able to start the turn on their square, so you can run past them. So yeah, if we fail it, we've just got to keep running into them and trying to successfully flee until we actually manage to get away from them. We've got nothing from that, and we are on the same square as them, so that's good. So now we can actually run right past them. Do I completely forgotten if I have any quests? No quests. Was there a specific area I wanted to check out? No. So let's just head this way. Do I want to go up or to the left? I want to go to the left. Usually at the top of the map, experience has taught me there is the kitchen and a whole bunch of areas that are related to the kitchen that all have very particular quests. And they're not the easiest. They're not that hard, but they don't often pay out all that good either. I don't know. I just want to avoid them for now. However, we've stumbled into a writhing mass of insects. We notice that the floor in front of us seems to be moving. We step closer thinking that it must be some sort of optical illusion, but suddenly we step on something and it makes a squishing noise. We look down and see a writhing carpet of insects covering the floor. Scattered around the insects are the bones of their victims. So let's resist the horror of seeing loads of insects covered, not covered in bones, but surrounded with bones. Unfortunately, we get the full brunt of it, and it scares the ever-living shit out of us. We struggle to maintain our sanity. We feel like the creepy crawlies are all over us, and we start to jump around and try and sweep the imaginary creatures off, so they're not actually there. Okay, we feel ashamed when we finally calm down and realise what we are doing. We do have our talisman on this card, so since we failed it so badly, I think I am quite tempted to use it. You know, first of all, actually, since I have to use 3 other ones anyway, okay, so I won't bother with the talisman, because it seemed like the chance of getting a bad result there was pretty low, given the first 3 cards were all no result. And we can attempt to step across them via this, which is target 8, which would allow us to, if we succeed, to start on their square, basically. Or we can just attempt to flee normally. However, I pretty much always choose this, because the target is way easy. I mean, we're going to more than likely succeed at it and not have to take any damage, but also we've still got that 20% chance of actually starting on their square anyway. So, yeah. Why make it difficult? Unfortunately, we flepped it up, and we failed. We tried to back away from the bugs, but slip and fall on our rear end. Soon they're climbing all over us, and we begin to feel their bites and stings. We jump up and carefully brush them off as best we can, and that scared the ever-living shit out of us because we have lost all our courage. We didn't have any courage skills anyway, or any skills that required it, so fine, really, you know. We can't lose what we don't have. And now it's significantly easier, and we've already succeeded. Generally when fleeing, you rarely ever get anything good from it. I mean, I think I might have got something good once, and that alone causes me to finish off the game rather than just going for the 2 points, just in case I have a chance of getting something good from running away. Problem is, if I go in here, I have to evade the damn insects again. So what I'm going to do is just carry on back this way. I'm going to attempt to pick the lock of the door. I'm going to... I'll leave it for now. There's no real point. Now I'll upgrade my stats later on, and we'll be able to do that a little bit easier. And not have to risk taking mind damage or shoulder damage from not successfully succeeding at it. Nothing in this room. However, we have stumbled into more damn cultists, but these are the crappy types, so they shouldn't be too much of a problem. Unfortunately, they're a problem. These guys are packing some heat. We better be careful. Ouch. Okay, only 1 damage. That's good. Let's attack them again. We've got terrible, terrible, shitty cards. Lithuanian fire. Roll 1 bone. Blah, 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 blah. Nope, we can't use this. Oh no, we can use it. We can use it. But it's not going to help, because our cards are so terrible that even if we manage to like get rid of a bunch of their good cards, they're unlikely to turn into something any worse than what we've already got. So there's just no point. Ouch. So that's 5 damage. So we're half dead now. We are half dead. We've got some reasonable cards though now. Yeah, let's try and unveil these and try and get something good. Any point in using my fire? There is a small chance we could get a green card. Oh, sorry, let's just try and use it anyway, since we're probably going to die soon. So, here we get to use our fire skill. First of all, what we have to do, as you can see, is if you do not roll less than or equal to your modified pentacles attribute, then you will take damage equal to the difference between the two. Wound symbols rolled count their numerical value towards the die roll, as well as supply the amount of mandatory additional wounds. Basically, from what I vaguely learned about sorcery, which isn't much so far, but you have to succeed at this particular roll before you use a spell, and yeah, it can kill you in the process. Luckily, we rolled less than our Pentacle's attribute, so we're doing just fine. And now we get to roll the bone dice. Okay, and that works. So now we can change 2 of these cards. So let's change this one out and change this one out. So hopefully we can beat them. And we did actually get a green card, so that's handy. So now we can put that on that, and we can beat him. So that was very useful. Let's proceed down this hallway. We don't want to go in there because generally that's just full of fighting. So since we've only got 4 hit points and we're not very good at it, let's just avoid that. What I'm looking for at the moment is some quests. Something easy to do that can score me skill points. How many skill points do I have? I shouldn't have done that. I have none. I have none skill points. Doesn't seem like there's anything in this room, which is unusual. Okay, there is, yeah. What that'll be will be the haunted piano. Experience has taught me, and that thing is quite tough to deal with. You really need a good psyche or sorcery skills, and it's part of a quest, so there's no point in even doing it now anyway, otherwise we wouldn't get to use it for the quest if I happen to do that quest, if I happen to find the quest giver. For now though, we're going to attempt to smash this door open. Well, we're not. We're going to attempt to find the activation mechanism. You examine the door and so that you might be able to figure out how to activate the door. This is a secret door, by the way, that we came across. Well, not a secret anymore, but still very, very, very hard to open. It seems you're not very good at this sort of thing, because secret doors are stupid. That they are. That they are. No result good. It's a good result. Okay, let's try and find the activation mechanism again. We've got a good card this time. Will we get to use it, is the question. Yes. Okay, well, we've managed to find the activation mechanism by searching around the door for anything of note and quickly zero in on some promising locations. After fiddling around with several bumps and nooks, the mechanism clicks and the door slowly opens. And for that we gained an expertise token, which is excellent. Unfortunately, we've come face to face with some damn zombies. Slow and ponderous and mindless, zombies are still not to be underestimated. They can overwhelm you with numbers and be feasting on your entrails before you know it. So first of all, we've got to try and resist the urge to scream, which we have managed to do. Boom. Okay. We can actually fight them quite well, so we just got to remember to aim for the head. Just got to remember to aim for the head, according to the text. Right. Unfortunately, we couldn't find the head, and they are going to hurt us. There we go. We've got 2 hit points left. I could try running from them, but actually the target's higher. I mean, yeah, we've actually got a much better chance of killing them. So let's just go for this. Unfortunately, unless this card's purple... Oh, but it's too high for us to take, so... Even though we can do this, it doesn't actually help anything. And we're not dead yet, but we are now. Oh, bollocks. Oh, well, there you go. And that's a very typical game of Occult Chronicles. Dying is typical, it's a very common thing. Get used to it, basically. But I still enjoy it. Even though the card game isn't perhaps the most in-depth in the world and so on, something about the game keeps drawing me to it. Maybe it's just the challenge. I don't think it is, though. It is. I do find the game to be quite interesting. I'm still nowhere near beating it, but I've had 2 really good runs that have got me in search of the final boss, but I ran out of time for both of them. So I still have yet to see what he's like. I still have yet to even fight him. He might be ridiculously hard. I have no idea, but it should be quite interesting. Should be quite interesting. End.